everybody. Really pleased to be here and have an opportunity to speak to you a little bit in front of the big announcement of the ISC2 project that we're super excited about. I'll start off with a quick little joke. So, how would you protect yourself from Halloween-related cyber threats? How would you protect yourself from Halloween-related cyber threats? Not really seeing too many hands raised. All right, I'll tell you. Apply pumpkin patch. Don't worry, it gets worse. All right, so it can't get worse. All right. So everybody, my name is Chris K, and I am a cybersecurity advisor with DHS's Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency. What we're going to do here, kind of as a warm-up act for Ken and the team, is I'm just going to kind of introduce to you a little, who CISA is, what our mission is, what our role is, because we're a fairly new organization, and it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of you either haven't even quite heard of CISA, or maybe not even had an opportunity to engage with us. So we're going to kind of let you know a little bit about that. Then we're going to transition into just talking about some of the cyber threat landscape that we're facing today, some of the things that we're seeing from the federal government perspective, and then what CISA has, the tools and resources that we have to offer at no cost. And I'll just say that right up front. Everything that we do, there's no charge for it. I don't want to say it's free, because those of us that get paychecks every 2 weeks, if you look in that line that says federal taxes, that's where all of the funding for this does come from. All right? So with that, let's kind of continue forward. So CISA. So we kind of brand ourselves as America's civilian cyber defense agency, kind of responsible for just understanding risk to critical infrastructure, kind of being that risk advisor, and helping organizations even outside of the 16 critical infrastructure sectors just manage and understand and reduce risk. So we are a component of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, right? So there's the Department of Justice, Department of Defense, Department of Veteran Affairs, Department of Homeland Security. And so we stand alongside our other operational agencies, right, like the Secret Service or TSA or FEMA, Coast Guard, and so forth. But like I said, we are the youngest federal agency. As a matter of fact, in 2.5 weeks, November 16th, we will celebrate our 6th anniversary, so 6 years old, so fairly new. Now, the federal government has been doing cybersecurity in one form or another, for a while, but it was kind of just put under one roof, one agency, CISA, in November 16th, 2018. So our cybersecurity mission, again, is to help people understand and reduce risk. If we're to sort of maybe talk about cyber like fire, right? You might have folks that are, you have folks like arson investigators, right? That come in after the fact, and they're there to determine like the source and the means that the fire got started, right? So those are the agencies kind of like the FBI, HSI, the Secret Service. They have authorities and arrest powers to kind of collect evidence and prosecute criminals, right? And then you have other organizations that kind of come in and put the fire out, right? Like these might be some of your third-party, incident response agencies. That you have a problem, you're going to give them a call, give your insurance company a call, they're going to have them on retainer, they're going to get in touch with you, they're going to really help you to stop the bleeding. But when it comes to CISA, like our role is we're almost like the fire inspectors. We're kind of here to walk around the building, say, hey, have you done a fire drill recently? Hey, what's your kind of like your evacuation plan look like? Hey, how are those fire extinguishers looking? We're there kind of left of boom, before the incident, in order to help you understand what that risk is, and then take steps to kind of reduce that risk. I'll point out a couple things on the right-hand side of the screen here. Catalyze persistent collaboration across like all levels of government and the private sector. So let me tell you also what CISA is not. I just mentioned, we're not a law enforcement agency. I don't have any arrest powers, right? We're not an intelligence agency either. We're not there just to kind of glom up information and data and just kind of squirrel that away and just have secret conversations at classified levels, right? And we're not a regulatory authority when it comes to cyber. There's a small regulatory responsibility for chemical inspections that's sort of there, but when it comes to cyber, we're not regulatory. So what's important about that is understand that when you talk to CISA, it's voluntary, right? We work by, with, and through our partners. There are even protections for any reports or assessments that we produce for you from being Oprah-able or requested through FOIA, because we understand that we're going to have honest conversations about vulnerability and risk. Our stakeholders, the folks like you, have to have some comforts and reassurances that that's not going to make the front pages of the paper. We have a kind of an analysis element that helps to expand operational visibility of threats and vulnerabilities. We work with our other federal partners in the intelligence community to publish joint cybersecurity advisories on stuff like that. But something that I really want to point out is the second one from the bottom there. Serve as the operational lead for federal civilian cybersecurity. So CISA is not an agency that just kind of talks the talk, right? We have to walk the walk because we own cybersecurity at the .gov level for federal agencies, civilian agencies, right? So we're responsible for setting policy, binding operational directives, making sure folks are patching systems up to a certain date, setting mandates and so forth, writing the book on that, right? So we don't only talk the talk, we have to walk the walk. Something else that I'd like to point out too is there's another side of the CISA coin. I'm here representing the cyber side, but I do have counterparts in New Jersey, well, around the country, right, that work on the physical security side. And so just like I go and speak to organizations about cyber risk, they talk more about the physical risk. So like you can think of counterterrorism stuff, active shooter type things. They do assessments on schools, houses of worships, election facilities, municipalities, you name it. They're out there kind of just helping folks be able to quantify and then prioritize how to reduce physical risks. All right, so CISA as an organization, about 3,400 folks, right? Not a lot compared to other organizations in the federal government, but certainly we are growing, right? And actually for some of your students out there, I do have a slide coming up here. I can talk a little bit about that. But most of the horsepower is in Northern Virginia. That's where like kind of the leadership is, the policy folks are, the analysts are, a lot of our technical folks, people working also in the classified space that have to go into secure SCIFs and so forth. They're all down in Northern Virginia analyzing data and kind of addressing the problem from there. But I'm part of what's called a cybersecurity advisory program. Like I'm part of like kind of that forward-leaning, that kind of forward-deployed component, right? Like if you're to call the FBI, you don't want to have somebody from Washington, D.C. answer the phone. You want somebody at your local field office, and that's the case with CISA too. I'm a field representative. I'm one of two. Actually, we're hiring a third one. He starts on Monday, December 2nd. Excited about that. He'll be down in South Jersey, but I'm really here to kind of do events like this, connect with people, help you understand who CISA is and what we do, and to see if there are any opportunities for us to kind of come side by side with you, partner with you to address some of your cybersecurity concerns and so forth. All right, and let's see. The slide was in here now. So listen, for those that are students in here, understand this too. I thought I put the slide in here, I just didn't copy over. But all of our hiring for internships, for those who are recent grads, done on usajobs.gov. If you don't have a resume up there yet, I would highly suggest that you get something up there. But everything's kind of advertised through usajobs.gov. And we want to talk a little bit more about some of those internship opportunities. More than happy to discuss that, or maybe kind of how to set resumes up. We can certainly have that discussion once I'm done a little bit later this evening. So with that kind of concludes the first part about CISA. Does anybody have any questions about the organization? Arthur?
Sure. How do you guys relate to the NIST cybersecurity framework and all the NIST publications?
It's almost like you're a plan. Yeah, so
it's not a plan.
No, I'll say, great question. So Arthur's question is like, okay, well, listen, Chris, there are a lot of academic and just cybersecurity frameworks and guidance out there for organizations, and it can get confusing, right? Some of it's regulatory and whatnot. So Arthur, I'm going to show you towards the end of my presentation an application that we're going to be using in order to kind of align with the NIST cybersecurity framework, CSF 1.0. We didn't do the 2.0 govern yet, but it aligns identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. So yes, all of those documentations, they inform us, whether it be ISO 27000, whether it be SP 853, 66, whatever it is. All of those inform our documentations and our recommendations and our assessment methodologies. So great question, thank you.
Okay.
Any follow-up?
So no, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, all right, sounds good.
In addition to chemical plants, don't you also have authority over water treatment plants?
So So when it comes to, so Vlad's question was, hey, when I see that you mentioned you have authorities over the chemical industry, don't you also, doesn't CISA also have authorities over the water sector, right? And so that's a great point, Vlad. I normally have a slide in here that talks about the 16 critical infrastructure sectors and how they're broken down, because for each of the 16, there's actually a sector risk management agency, SRMA, that's assigned to each one, right? So for hospitals, health and public health sector, that's HHS, Health and Human Services, right? For water, it's actually the EPA, but to your point, Vlad, they don't necessarily have a lot of the cyber expertise that CISA has. So I'm very frequently called in, and my colleagues, called in to engage on behalf of the EPA just to discuss with their stakeholders best practices. Now, a little insider baseball, EPA is regulatory, and again, we kind of want to be like, hey, I'm from CISA, I'm from the government, I'm here to help, right? Which was Ronald Reagan's kind of famous joke, like the 9 most terrifying words in the English language. But the reality is we have to kind of draw a line there, because we want those people to be comfortable talking to us and then still like keep the regulatory stuff with EPA. TSA, they regulate transportation sector, but I've talked to rail, I've talked to airlines, I've talked to bus companies, trucking companies and so forth. So although CISA is only the sector risk management agency for 8 of the 16 critical infrastructure sectors, we still are often brought in to talk to folks like water about kind of understanding their cyber risk, especially when it comes to the OT, the operational technology side of things. Good question, thanks Vlad. All right, sir.
How are you measured?
How are you measured? You mean as far as my metrics as an employee, or how, what do you?
The organization. You're leading, so how do you measure the...
Yeah, so that's a great question, right? That's always an interesting question when it comes to security, right? Because how do you understand the attacks to be prevented, right? And so essentially what we do is we have what we call, like, as someone engages regularly with organizations, I'm required to do something called an ROI, return on investment kind of interview, right? And so we have a little survey that we conduct. And essentially, is it subjective? It is, but essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to move the needle. Hey, do you feel a little bit better about your cybersecurity posture after you've engaged with us, right? Listen, I know that's not like something that's super quantifiable, but I've yet to conduct a survey with the stakeholders and really an honest one, and have them say, no, I feel we're worse off, or no, we're not better. Because we're always kind of helping, oftentimes brought into cybersecurity or information technology departments to help them maybe explain to their senior leadership the same things that they've been explaining the whole time, right? So oftentimes, so one of the ways that we measure kind of how we're bringing value back to the American people is we go back and we kind of interview, and we kind of conduct interviews with those stakeholders, those key stakeholders, and have them explain to us, well, what did you do, what did you implement that we discussed, right? Or maybe even, hey, what was an obstacle to implementing something that we recommended, all right? What recommendations did you follow? What is your timeline for implementing these, right? And also, so we have that. And then, of course, there's sort of the broad sort of brush of just being able to publish information about TTPs, the way our threat actors and our adversaries are operating, what they're talking about, to help enlighten potential victims, to help them kind of, again, take down that low-hanging fruit so that they don't ultimately become victimized. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, sure, right over there.
So do you provide risk auditing services for companies? You said you get engaged
Yeah.
with companies. So do you provide such services?
Yeah, so the question is, does CISA provide risk audit services for companies? Yeah. So we're going to talk about a little bit later in the presentation, kind of towards the end, about some of the resources, about some of the assessments we do. Now, so we're not auditors, right? So we're not there to kind of come in and validate what you put down on the piece of paper, right? Because, hey, we're just buddies, like we're just friends here. I'm not here to really kind of like hammer you for something you say you're doing that you're not doing. But we provide assessments for folks to use if they don't have anything else to go off of, right? So those organizations that maybe are regulated but still want to understand kind of, hey, are we meeting a basic security, a cybersecurity baseline? So we have all of that mapped out and all of that built for organizations. So I wouldn't say, I think audit's a very different word, right? So that's not something that we do, but I would say certainly giving them a type of awareness level of assessment of where they stand and some of the things that they should prioritize moving forward. Good question.
Yeah,
thanks.
because internally companies do risk assessments, cybersecurity risk assessments and audits, right? So once they do that, they could get in touch with you to get an opinion and advice. That's how it works.
Yeah, so generally speaking, the types of engagements that I've seen CISA had with organizations that already conduct types of auditing is maybe just kind of like using, and I'm going to talk about one of those services, vulnerability scanning, right? They were already doing external vulnerability scanning, right? But sometimes they just like to have a third party just kind of do that, right? Just make sure they're not missing anything to help validate the kind of the results that they've gotten internally. So we kind of fill that role, at that type of advisory role. Okay, yeah, thanks. What else? What else about CISA? All great questions, by the way. You guys are a smart group. I don't get these questions, though. You're kind of keeping me on my toes. Thanks. All right, well listen, let's move on, right? Let's talk a little bit about the cyber threats and some of the problems out there. All right, these are some recent quotes that I pulled. All right, so the first one from this company, Cybersecurity Ventures, from their fourth almanac on cybersecurity, right? He says that in 2024, $9.5 trillion, it looks like it's going to be the damages inflicted by cybercrime globally in 2024, right? Which surpasses, that would be the third largest economy, right, in our world, right, behind the US and China. Phishing attacks, listen, we're getting better at it in 2024, kind of conducting those tests, and, phishing tests and trying to catch our employees. We are getting more sensitive, but listen, according to Proofpoint, maybe it's in their interest to kind of scare you a little, but 75% say that, like, hey, at least 1 in 3 employees, the attacks surged by 75%, 1 in 3 employees. Listen, let's face it, we have made strides in doing sensitization towards phishing, but it's still like the #1 attack vector when it comes to compromise. Moving remotely has kind of introduced a lot of risk for a lot of organizations, according to IBM, with a 40% increase. Number of 0 days, all-time high, according to the CD stats from 2024. And there's another stat on here that I found pretty interesting too, because if you thought this stuff's going away, I didn't include it here, but there's a supervisory special agent from the FBI who's speaking at a conference in San Francisco in May of this year. And he said, hey, listen, what's scary is the average age of people that commit crimes in the US is 37. The average age of people we arrest is 37. The average age of cyber criminals that the FBI arrests is 19. 19 years old, right? So obviously, kind of, there's a younger generation that's kind of coming up, comfortable with technology, and maybe not really have the sort of morals to kind of do the right thing. So who's kind of committing some of these acts? All right. We all kind of are aware of these big four, right? Whether it be the People's Republic of China, Russian Federation, Islamic State of Iran, or the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea. So let's be very specific what we're talking about. Not people from these countries, we're talking specifically about these governments, right? And whether it's because they're being sanctioned and they're looking to kind of steal money in order to fund their supreme leader's interests, or maybe perhaps we fall on the NATO side of things. Maybe it's because their strategic or extremist interest in certain geographical areas of the globe that that we're opposed to, or maybe, hey, listen, they're just interested in kind of being able to pre-position themselves for a time of their choosing.
There are a lot of countries that are highly capable, right, with near peer capabilities as our country, that are adversarial to us, right? And the FBI, our partners in the FBI, they're doing a good job, whether it be kind of investigating members of the People's Republic of China's MSS, the Ministry of Security, or the PLA, or some of the other threat actor groups, or kind of our Russian, kind of adversaries in FSB, GRU, SVR, and so forth. We're doing a pretty good job. But what I wanted to point out with all of these posters here, they're not mug shots. They're just wanted posters, right? We don't have these guys in jail in handcuffs anywhere. These folks are just still out there. They're roaming around. They're still doing their thing. And there are thousands upon thousands of them that are out there doing their thing. So again, like I said, CISA tries to help you understand the threat landscape by working with federal partners in our intelligence community, kind of declassifying and getting that information at a level that you can consume it at. These are some recent reports, right? Iranian cyber actors using brute force and credential access activity. This was October 16th. Russian military targeting U.S. and global critical infrastructure. What's the date? So that's September 5th. And one that's super alarming to me, and probably should be to you, is the PRC state sponsored actor compromising and maintaining persistent access to U.S. critical infrastructure, right? We could probably talk about that all night.
but we're not. Some of you have also, when talking more about threats, have seen this graphic before, again, provided to us by the FBI, and understand, hey, listen, there are a whole spectrum of people that are looking to attack our organizations, and they don't have to be just critical infrastructure organizations, right? Whether they're motivated by kind of ideology or finance, whether they're insider threats or or they're kind of looking to degrade capabilities because of their military objectives. There are a whole host of folks out there. And if that's not enough to kind of make you a little bit concerned, just understanding the formidable adversaries we face, you know, the technology we use is also a challenge, right? Because, I mean, this graph right here is showing just the number of vulnerabilities discovered in 2023, right? Over 26,000 vulnerabilities. Like, so the applications that we're using on a daily basis are just kind of out there causing vulnerabilities for us. And I'll tell you something too, if you're not kind of paying attention to vulnerabilities in your environments, in your organization, I'll tell you who is. Those folks that we just talked about, right? So here's Jen Easterly, so my boss's boss, right? The head of CISA, right? She had to speak before a special select committee on the PRC, right? Here's what she said. She said, hey, Chinese hackers easily infiltrate infrastructure by exploiting known product defects, which are the results of companies prioritizing product features and speed to market over security, right? So again, vulnerabilities, it's a major area, right? You have to have, you got to keep your eyes on the ball because the adversaries are, and they're exploiting them. Yes, do some of these nation states have incredible capabilities? Yes, they do. But why are they going to do all that when they can just exploit vulnerabilities in unpatched systems and kind of gain access to privileged areas, right? So, CISA, again, trying to address this issue here for our folks, constantly kind of like ringing this bell. And we have a known exploited vulnerabilities catalog where we can post criticality and severity as far as these vulnerabilities are to help you guys whose responsibility is to manage that environment, understand what you need to prioritize. But again, Russian actors exploiting known vulnerabilities, worldwide impact, right? Another thing that CISA is doing, as we kind of turn the corner here from like the bad guys to the good guys, is we're trying to put some pressure on software manufacturers, the people that actually produce these things, right? Because I've heard Jen Easterly say in the past too, that we don't have a cybersecurity problem, we have a software programming and development problem, right? Where, or you know, companies that, again, quick to market, or look at kind of build things to get to market quickly, aren't necessarily prioritizing the security outcomes of the people that are purchasing that stuff, right? So how can we change that? So secure by design is something you may see out there. It's something that we're really kind of hammering home, engaging in the relationships we have with a lot of major manufacturers. The list is like 200 and growing, saying, hey, listen, you really need to actually take some type of ownership over those security outcomes for the people that you sell products to, right? But what's really important is for folks like you, we want to kind of turn secure by design into secure by demand, right? So if you have the choice, use your procurement power, right? So if you have a choice between two different applications or products and one's shipped more secure and one's shipped kind of like unsecure, we're hoping that we can convince organizations to leverage that purchase power and to choose wisely in selecting applications that are going to arrive in a much more secure state. Vlad, what do you got?
Does CISA keep a list of recommended products?
So the NSA, I think, has a list of products through, I forget which director it is. Is it not really that up to date? No. So CISA does not have a list of public products that it recommends. And I think that's in part because we have to sort of be pretty agnostic to vendors and so forth. But we will hammer home things like, hey, buy products that have like they use memory-safe programming languages or something like that. You know what I mean? We might sort very generally about product security for stuff like that. That's a good question. Yes?
Michael puts out a list of CVEs, so do you keep track on that and map the companies?
Yeah, so there are actually 400 certified naming authorities for CVEs, MITRE's being one of them, right? And so a lot of these manufacturers are on that list too. When they discover something, they're able to contribute to the list. So yeah, MITRE's one of them. And again, I think it was the previous slide, the known exploited vulnerability catalog is kind of where we try to house everything as a one-stop shop for that.
Who owns that catalog?
I believe CISA does. I know we manage it. I'm not going to say we manage. Arthur, I can follow up for you. That's a good question.
Just curious.
Yeah. What's CISA does, right? Yeah, CISA does. All right. Thanks for the validation. Appreciate it. Phone a friend. Hey, go see KUB. All right. So secure by design, again, secure by demand. Someplace that hopefully you guys can now take part in determine your security outcomes. Another thing CISA does to help organizations, and this information is free for you to download today, tomorrow, next week, even though we're kind of getting towards the end of Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We have a campaign out there called Secure Our World, right? It's got all of the graphics you would need. You can download it. You can kind of push that out to friends, family, coworkers, whatever. But it really focuses on the 4 key things that we see would reduce cyber risk the most for no cost, right? Long, strong, unique passwords and a password manager. If you're doing passwords correctly, right, you have to be using a password manager. Enabling multi-factor authentication whenever that's offered. Certainly increasing your sensitivity to phishing, and then making sure the software and hardware are up to date and closing those patches. So again, this is just a resource for you to Secure Our World. If you're to Google CISA Secure Our World, it'll bring you a place. You can download graphics for social media, printouts for the office, for your family, and so forth, just to kind of hammer home some of those basic techniques. Some other resources that CISA offers is, it's incredible that, I go out and I do have the opportunity to speak with a number of different organizations, and a lot of them just simply don't have incident response plans, right? They just don't know what they would do. They haven't had even the most basic sort of who do we call, who gets involved, who's in the decision-making process laid out. So we kind of share our kind of playbooks for incident response. And that way it kind of gives you some templates in order to get started if you don't have some, or if you have incident response plans and you want to see, hey, how does that line up with what the federal government does? We freely share that, completely transparent there. And the thing about incident response plans too is they're great if you have them, if you review them, if you update them. But until you really exercise those plans, you kind of just don't know what you don't know, right? So CISA also, through this tabletop exercise package, we have like 140 different scenarios. Not all of them are cyber. It's a combination of physical ones, cyber ones, and then cyber-physical ones. That if you want to run tabletop exercises at your organization, we did all the legwork for you. We wrote the scenarios. Not me, CISA folks wrote the scenarios, they wrote the questions, discussion questions, they wrote the index for you. They're usually 2 modules each, so you bang these out in like 3 or 4 hours. But if you're looking to conduct an exercise internally just to kind of test some of your processes, it's a great place to start. And if your organization is a little bit more mature, say you do this stuff fairly regularly, you feel pretty confident, but you want to maybe conduct an exercise where you have external partners. Either they be geographically located, maybe that they're, maybe it's the FBI, the state police, whoever it is, your county prosecutor's office. You want to bring those folks in. Well, CISA has a national exercise team that we can kind of sit with you. We're doing it for actually a municipality in Bergen County. It's scheduled for, I think, April. So basically, they wanted to kind of exercise something with their county OEM and some federal partners and so forth. Month by month, we work with them, monthly meetings, in order to kind of get the scoping down. Who are you inviting? What do you want to accomplish? What are you looking to exercise? And we will actually run the exercise for them. So if that's something where you have a maturity level there, and you want to talk to me about that, I'm more than happy to kind of plug you into that program. All right, so getting towards the end here, I'm going to talk about some really neat kind of technical services that we have available. I'm going to talk about the CSET tool. I'm going to talk about cybersecurity performance goals and cyber hygiene, right? So the CSET tool, available for download off GitHub right now, 1.5 gigabytes, and you're going to hear it right now. First, they're actually releasing a new version. Is it Friday? It's Friday, November 1st? November 1st. They're releasing a brand new version on Friday. Just kind of, I think the CMMC goes from 1.0 to 2.0, that assessment. I think that's a little bit overdue, but they're just trying to keep up with some of the standards out there. But the cybersecurity evaluation tool is something that you download locally, right? It contains 60 different assessments. Some of them aren't going to apply to you because they're like water or energy or PCI DSS or healthcare or whatever. But super valuable if you're just looking for an application where you can ask is something called the Cybersecurity Performance Goals Assessment, right? So this is 38 questions, and as Arthur alluded to earlier about the NIST cybersecurity framework, aligns perfectly with identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. So if you have yet to conduct any type of physical or cybersecurity assessments at your organization, and you just sort of want to understand if you're getting the basic blocking and tackling of cybersecurity down, this cybersecurity performance goals assessment is how it's going to do. And again, you're basically each question, you can answer in 4 different ways. Are you implementing this control? Is it partially implemented? Is it kind of like scoped? Or you're not doing anything? At the very end, it kind of like, kind of organizes everything, gives you an ability to output a report. You need to show senior leadership that, hey, these are some of the basics of cybersecurity, and here's where we're falling short. You can illustrate that. You can go back to it year after year and continue to use it. But again, a phenomenal resource if you really kind of don't have a lot of tools in your toolkit to assess your basic cybersecurity posture. These are a lot of the control areas that are covered in this in the CPG assessment. And I've done a number of them, and they very rarely, if you have the right person, it will take over an hour. If you have the right person in the room that kind of just understands some of your policies in the environment, they're very, very easy to kind of get through. And also for each question, like there are reference documents that you can check, whether they be NIST documents or they be, whatever reference guidance that we use to kind of create that question, you can go back to the source and you can kind of get that there. The other service I want to kind of bring up to you that's super popular, we have over 7,600 organizations nationwide enrolled in our vulnerability scanning program, our CIPP program, and there's 2 kind of components. There's vulnerability scanning and web application scanning. But the vulnerability scanning, like I was mentioning before, listen, if you don't understand, if you have like an internet connected things, right, and they're running old operating systems and outdated firmware, and we know they're getting exploited, this is the service that's going to help reveal that to you, so you can kind of take immediate action. Nothing you need to do other than sign up and sign a couple pages, giving us some permission to kind of scan your stuff. We use Nmap to kind of do some discovery, and then Tenable's Nessus to do kind of that vulnerability piece to understand if there's anything there that's potentially exposed. The second part here is web application scanning, and I'm really nervous to talk about this since I know we got some OWASP folks in the room. Tom Brennan, the godfather of OWASP, right? So, but anyways, so Qualys is what we use because web applications, Tom, would you say, are often vulnerable, right? And so we do it both as an unauthenticated user and as an authenticated user, right? So we kind of get in there, just see if there's anything misconfigured, see if there's information or data that we can kind of get to that we shouldn't. But again, another free service done on a monthly basis, but sign up if you have any type of internet-facing web applications. Whew. All right, so that was a lot, I know. So let's review here, right? Okay, hopefully you have a better understanding of who CISA is, what our mission and our roles are, right? A little bit of an idea about the adversaries that all of us face, right? We are just a couple clicks away, and it doesn't matter. You can't think to yourself, oh, I'm not the Pentagon. Why would somebody attack me? Because really, a lot of our adversaries, they're just looking for targets of opportunity, right? They're not necessarily targeting you specifically. They're just making sure, are you vulnerable? Well, we're going to attack you just because we can. All right, and then now you understand some of the free, no-cost services that CISA offers that we can kind of get you connected to. So with that, any questions about anything I discussed? All right, so folks, hey, thanks. You've been a great audience. I really appreciate your attention. Again, I'm just kind of the opening act. The real big reveal is coming next with, hey, I talked to you about a lot of vulnerabilities. Well, what can you do? How can you get some help? Ken and the team are going to kind of discuss an exciting new project to that end. So thank you very much.
What we're going to do here is we're going to discuss what ISC2 New Jersey chapter is, what we're all about, why we have 700 members, and we're going to talk about the new internship program. So, all right, so we just went to Vegas, the board, and the reason why we went this year was because we received the award for Best Chapter for North America again. Some of the board members are over here. We have Tran, Sharon, and Sam, and they have been phenomenal in growing this. We have an 11-board team, that have made this happen, and I've been president of the chapter for now 4 years, and it has been a transformational experience for the chapter and myself included personally. So this is the kind of crazy stuff we do. We do Top Golf, okay? But we do Top Golf and nobody pays anything. Free Top Golf. We got all these crazy sponsors that want to give us free things to do. We do senior fraud education. So we go to senior centers and we educate them on the latest scams. So we've done over about a half a dozen just this month alone. It's been really amazing how many we've done. We've probably done a dozen this year. And this is a great way to get public speaking experience. We have a holiday dinner coming up. It's half price if you're a member. It's in Perth Amboy, and it's a wonderful, beautiful place, and it's a great way to meet people. We had over 100 people attend last year. We have conferences. We have 2 conferences every year. One's a hybrid experience, and one is all hybrid. And the one that's so the one that's in person is going to be on June 10th. I just got the date, and it's going to be at Kane University. We sell out every year now. About 350 people attend it, and it is an amazing experience. We have about 40 people speak. It's only a one-day event, and it's great. Then we have an international conference on top of that, where we have chapter members from all over the world speak virtually, and we have about 20 to 30 people speaking from 6 different continents this year, and we probably will have about 400 or 500 people attend that. And it's not Zoom. You actually walk around like a 1980s video game. If anybody knows, like, pick your video game where you walk around like Donkey Kong or something like that, and you got to use the keyboard to move around. It's hysterical, and you get to go to different rooms. You can just pop in and out. You're not stuck in any room. So that's going to be interesting. That's on December 4th. Next, we have firearm training. So we have, it's been a little limited now. We were doing it a lot, and then we had to cut it back a little bit. But we had a good time doing that. A lot of people got trained in firearms. We have a Community Service Day event every year where we go to the community food bank, and that's a lot of fun. We had an exercise at my office, which is right down the street. We did tabletop exercises where we had, everybody is familiar with, for those that are not familiar with tabletop exercises, it's basically a cyber fire drill, and you're just practicing what would happen. So instead of doing a technical cyber fire drill, we did an administrative one. So what would you do from an incident response as far as following your action plan? As far as what cyber insurance do you need? What kind of lawyers do you need to get? So everybody was like learning new things, and it was really exciting because most people just dive into the techie world here, but we decided to educate everybody on different aspects of cyber. We have picnics twice a year. We had over 100 people come to some of these picnics. It is really amazing, and a lot of these events are in central Jersey because we're trying to represent the whole state, so we make it annoying for everybody to drive. And we also have monthly meetings. Now those monthly meetings are all virtual, so you don't have to drive at 6 o'clock at night trying to find some place during traffic. So once a month we have those events. And all our educational events are either virtual or hybrid. So we have that all set up. And go-karts is just another event. We went to the Patriots game this year, all free. We didn't pay anything. We went bowling. It's just sponsors are coming up to us left and right because we can produce people. So they see that we have a huge amount of people, and sponsors are just coming to us, what do you want to do next? I mean, it really is like that. So it's a lot of fun. It's only $75 to join, $10 for students. And thanks to Alex over there doing all the video stuff, we now have social media. Let me tell you a little bit about Alex, okay? She is a superstar. If you couldn't tell already from today what she's doing with the live feed right now and everything. She is amazing. She took over our social media just recently, and she consolidated everything. So now you can see all the things that we do. I don't even have some of these accounts, Instagram or anything like that, but she's got it all set up so that everything goes to everything now, and it's pretty amazing. So she's constantly posting on Instagram now on various things. We have, okay, so let me just talk about some of this stuff that we have now. All right, so I talked a little bit about some of the fun things that we do. We also have a newsletter, so if you are thinking about being a member or not sure yet, check out our monthly newsletter. It's on our main page. It is a long newsletter. We got a lot going on, so please take a look at it. We have, it's just going to get bigger. I mean, Trey and I are working on making it even better. So, and then we have, let's see, I talked about these things. Some things that I haven't talked about yet is the CMMC roundtable. So those that are interested about the CMMC, which is the certification you need if you're a defense contractor and you want to work with the government. So this is growing really big. We have certification boot camps. So if you want to get the entry-level certification, the CC of ISC2, or if you want to get the CISSP, and you don't want to spend $2 grand or $3 grand for these certifications, we give it to you for free or maybe like $100. So it's really, and it's the full 5-day boot camps. We have a public speaking workshop that Arthur and I run, and we meet every month virtually, and so you can brush up on your public speaking. Get rid of your ums, your ahs, your nervousness, and it works. We have several people who've gone through the workshop over the past year or so, and now they can do public speaking without a problem. The person who does most of our senior fraud scam seminars now, she had a lot of trouble speaking, and now she's super fluent. She has no issues whatsoever. Amazing. We have joint efforts with InfraGard. That's what Chris was talking about before, InfraGard. I'm on the advisory board. A lot of people here are in InfraGard. And a lot of times we get, because we are who we are, we can bring people to meetings, we get to go to most of the InfraGard meetings as a result. So, a really nice organization. And they're having an event in November 22nd at King University. That's the next event. We had this amazing event on Sunday. Some of you here, I see some familiar faces, played a game called Capture the Flag, where we have, everybody knows Capture the Flag, where you run around, outside. This is all indoors on computers. A lot of fun. And this is where we had over 70 people at St. Peter's University spent their entire Sunday from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock on computers trying to do about 40 different challenges. And it was an amazing experience, and we're going to be doing it again and again. So we have podcasts going, we have scholarships available, and we have a Discord server for those that know what that is. All right, okay, we're going to get to the Cyber Guardians program, because that's why most people are here. So I'd like everybody who's part of this committee to please stand up. All right, I won't make you come out here, but please stand. Leon's in the back. But this has been something that I've wanted to do for like over a year, and with the help of this committee, 6 months of planning, every 2 weeks we met. We are finally at a point where we are going to be doing it. So that's why we're here today, and we're really excited about it, and it's a dream come true for me. So it went above and beyond what I expected. I thought it was going to be like a month internship, but Tom talked me into 120 hours. And so these are the real goals of the program, so just take a look. So the idea is that we all know the catch-22 that's going on right now. They have jobs, entry-level jobs, but you need 3 years experience, right, and all that stuff. And so we're trying to do our best. It is a tight market out there. You guys got to know that cyber may not be your first job out of college. You may have to go to a different area in IT and then move to cyber. That's just the reality of what's going on in the market today. But we're going to do what we can and provide internships, at least give you a leg up. And but it's really three-phased. So we're going to be having an internship, but we're also going to be supporting our local communities in the same while doing this by supporting the local nonprofits and do these risk assessments. So a lot of the tools that Chris was talking about that were for free, we're going to take advantage of those tools and incorporate them to be used by our interns. So that way you're going to have the technical skills for this internship. It's not going to be some BS internship. It's going to be, you're going to learn real skills from this. And lastly, the end goal is to, when we tell them that we put like 50 people through this program, we're going to like show this to ISC2 headquarters, and then they're going to like franchise this. So that's what we've been talking about also. So it's really exciting what we're trying to do here, and we have full support of ISC2 headquarters. So to give you an idea of the things that you're going to get if you are part of this program, first, leadership skills. We want you to be part of a committee. And by being part of a committee, you're going to be responsible. You're going to be learning about how to be responsible, how to show up. All the things that we assume as professionals who have been doing this for many years expect people out of college to know, we're going to make sure that you're prepared to do that. This is something that we really want to focus on. So and we're going to do it several different ways. We have a lot of options. I'm not going to go through everything right now. But then we have this huge mentoring program. We just rolled out the software to make it even easier to do mentoring. It's so you have one-on-one mentoring with experts, and we're going to start aligning you with based on your skills and what direction you want to go into. Really exciting stuff. Public and professional speaking skills. So we want you to be able to speak in front of people, and we also want you to speak in front of your peers and learn the proper way to do that once you enter the workforce. So these are skills that we really want you to work on. And training, so we talked about boot camps. We talked, we're going to, part of the internship is to get you to take the CC, which is the Certified in Cybersecurity exam. So we'll give it to you for free. It costs $50. We're going to waive that fee. We want you to get that cert. We don't want any barriers there. And we're going to give you boot camps so you can study and all that, but that's going to be part of the 120 hours. And if you already took the CC and you made it into the internship program, then we're going to make you facilitate a study group. So you'll learn some leadership skills, and it'll probably reinforce what you learned by doing that. And lastly, technical skills, what we talked about. So these are some of the tools that we're going to be using for the program. Chris talked about some of these, a lot of these Chris talked about. We're also going to be doing a web application scanner as well. We're going to be using this project management tool I'm really excited about to make us much more organized called ClickUp. And lastly, we're going to be using an AWS server, so you get to learn some cloud security as well. And thanks to Arthur from Castle Ventures, he's fitting the bill for this cost. So thank you, Arthur. Filling bill. All right, so where are we with it? So we got a lot of people obviously interested in being into part of this internship program. We're starting out with 2 people right now. Please don't ask me when the next one's going to be. It's going to be when we're ready. Okay, so we're not sure exactly when that's going to be. We know everybody's interested in getting in this, but we want to really work out all the kinks with it. So that's the first step. And we are looking for companies to be part of this. That's the big thing. So we want companies, small businesses who need vulnerability assessments, who don't care about security. We're giving this out for free. So if you know of any companies, this is how we get companies. It's from people like yourselves. If you have any family members, relatives, whatever, come reach out to us if they have small business. Even if they're individuals, we'd like to talk to them. But they need to be nonprofit. Okay, that's the one catch. And thanks to Tom, we have a couple that are guinea pigs. We have plenty of experienced professionals that you're going to learn from. Those are going to be your mentors, so they would do the first one, and you would shadow them, and then once they felt comfortable enough, you would do it, and they would watch over you to make sure that you're doing it properly. So that's how it would work. So a couple of challenges that we have is that, one, we need to continually find companies, obviously, because that's part of what we're doing here. And we're probably going to break out beyond New Jersey. Oh, I forgot to mention about ISC2. We're not a New Jersey chapter anymore. We're global. We just got a member from the British Virgin Islands. We have people from all over the world joining us. It's kind of ridiculous. We have Australia, South Africa. It's India. Really, on every continent. In Morocco. We have people from everywhere joining us because of the virtual meetings, because of the mentoring, because we have a lot to offer virtually. And there's a guy in the back, Pradeep, who used to join a year ago at 4:30 in the morning in India time to our meetings, and now he's in New Jersey here. And but anyway, then we have. And we also need to just finalize some liability issues with the insurance carrier because we are taking a risk by running these tools on our on these companies, so we want to make sure we're covered. So, but we're not worried about it. All right, last. So we have two interns. One is here tonight. Fatima, if you don't mind just standing up. He drove 2 hours to come here. So, Fatima's been in the IT industry for a long time, and she is now going to transfer to doing some cyber security work now, and she's looking for a job, and so this is the perfect program for her. We also have Chris Bennett, who couldn't make it tonight, and he's a student. So we have two completely different people. So this is going to be a nice experiment for us. It's part of the internship program. And it's going to be exciting. So last but not least, these are the next steps we have to do. We just have to finalize testing of the tools that we have, develop a playbook so we're ready to rock and roll, and formalize the program and put it into our project management program. So that's really where we are. And I'm here for questions. Oh wait, before I do questions, I want to play a game for a second. Hold on. So, I have a couple of free books here. Alright, I got 5 of these things. Okay. ISC2 loves us, so they gave us these books. They gave us a bunch of these books. I got 5 left. I could probably get more. But this is if you're interested in GRC. So what I'm going to do, this is for full certification. This is probably about $2,000 worth of materials. So I have about 5 of these books. They're outdated by 1 version, which probably means there's like one small little section that they added. Anyway, so for those that are interested in this book, I'm going to ask a trivia question. All right, here we go. What's a tactic involving the collection and dissemination of personal information with malicious intent?
Boxing.
Yeah, but you don't look like somebody who's... I'm going to ask another question.
You have hands up in the back.
Oh, yeah, I blew it, yeah. All right, okay.
Try again.
All right. All right. An attack where one offers a service or benefit in return for information or access. This is a little tough one. Go ahead.
Quid pro quo.
You got it. Come on up here.
Hey, that was pretty good.
Good job. New member, by the way. All right, next. This is going to be for the older people. What British TV comedy show influenced the word spam to describe junk email?
Seriously.
Wait, no, you're not getting it. I'm not pushing it. Anybody else?
You gotta be under the.
All right, yeah, okay, I'm gonna ask a different question. For those that, all right, go ahead, Peter, what's the answer? Monty Python, that's correct.
That's not the name of the show. It's Monty Python's Flying Circus.
All right, I'll give an easier one. All right.
Yes, that's correct.
This term was coined in 1995 with the goal to lure an unsuspecting victim via email into revealing sensitive information. All right, you.
Social engineering?
Nope. Go ahead. What'd you say?
Fishing?
You got it. Congrats. Just so you know, Sam thought I was playing Jeopardy while Chris was up. She was like, "Are you playing Jeopardy?" So I have a little Jeopardy over here. Sometimes I make games for people. Of course. I was going to bring it up on the screen, but we don't have time for that. All right. A scam that uses fake mobile text messages to trick people into downloading malware, sharing sensitive information, or sending money to cybercriminals. What are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah, come on, you got it.
We're gonna make them buy the book.
Double. So I'm gonna keep them for somebody else. Oh, you got that? Okay.
It's different. Yeah, we can.
All right. Let's see. What can we do this? All right, I'm going to do one. Born in Italy, he became known in the early 1920s as a swindler in North America for his money-making scheme. His last name rhymes with Fonzie. You. Yeah. Very good. Before I even had the little joke, he got the answer. This guy was good.
Kind of caused Morris for the win.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Last one. All right. The theft of credit card information used in an otherwise legitimate transaction and usually involves the employee swiping the card on a small device to record the information to use in fraudulent transactions later. Yes, you.
Skimming?
Skimming, come on up, you. Congrats. There's going to be a new member today. All right, so any questions? I'll stick around here, but thank you all for coming here. I could not believe the turnout here. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
And also in closing, we'd like to thank a couple folks that helped make this possible. So the first sponsor, of course, was Cushman & Wakefield. So thank you for the building for helping us with the space, and of course, selfishly, Proactive Guys for putting this on. There are individuals here that are looking for jobs. I think there's a lot of interns that are looking for that as well, but there's a lot of businesses here as well. So if you have resumes, continue the networking, continue the conversation. It's always good to walk around with a resume because sometimes you might want to talk to employers. But again, it's an opportunity to sort of network and continue on that. So with that, guys, thank you. And